Well, I'm very pleased to be joined by Iain from the Downhill Second Half podcast. How you doing, Iain?
Yeah, evening Ed. Very well, thanks. You?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. And perhaps I should say croeso i'r podlediad, because I understand that despite being a Barnet fan, you are actually a resident of South Wales. So talk us through your journey then.
Yeah, it's a bit of an honour to be on a Newport County podcast. So, yeah, as you can tell by my accent, obviously I'm London-based these days and have been for the best part of 30 years, and obviously a Barnet fan. But yeah, I was born in Caerphilly, so not too far away from yourself. And as a youngster, was quite a regular at Spitty Park, where it was Newport AFC then, playing in the Beezer Homes League and the Dr. Martins. I remember having a shirt with Acorn Recruitment on the front. Yeah, and so yeah, not obviously. Loyalties have changed, but I do keep an eye out for Newport results. And after this Saturday, I'm hoping they take a turn for the better.
That's what I like to hear. Favorite player from the Spitty Park era?
Oh, Gary Shepherd. He was the
Oh,
man
there we
up
go.
front. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Good choice. Good choice. Well, I mean, we're going to talk about Newport against Barnet on Saturday, the third meeting between the two sides this season. We had that exhilarating 2-2 draw in the preliminary round of the League Cup back right at the start of the season, which County won on penalties. After two very, very late goals from Barnet, I had to remind myself of that you scored, I think, in the 97th and 99th minute of injury time, and then that rather drab 0-0 draw on Boxing Day. So those results included, but also kind of zooming out to the season more widely. How has this season been going for you? First season back in the Football League. What's it been like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be seen as a success. However you look at it, the position that we find ourselves in the top half. We've been in the unusual, luxury of the last few years, building on success on success on success, which I can tell you is very rare as a Barnet fan to see. We had a fifth place finish, second place finish, then we won the league very impressively last year. And I think when you have consistent success, that obviously builds expectation. As a result, I think some people perhaps are expecting a little bit more than maybe is realistic for this first season. Equally, in saying that, everyone's so inconsistent in League Two that we are still very much in the shout, in with the shout at the playoffs. Personally, I think it's probably a bit of a bridge too far this year. Top half finish would be fantastic. So, yeah, from the point of view of the season, I think we have to be happy. I think in particular, referring back to the two games, obviously we had a lot of excitement in that first one. It was quite a surreal kind of occasion playing before the season started in a made-up round of the competition. Plus that crazy finale to the game, and then the exhilaration of that to then be taken away by Newport winning the penalties was a bit disappointing. I did have the misfortune of making the decision at about 10 o'clock on Christmas night to make the journey down on Boxing Day. My friend's a black cab driver by trade, so we went down in his black cab on the M4, and I think all of us questioned our choices after that one. It wasn't the most superb game of football, it's fair to say. And I think in some ways that result there and that game is a little bit indicative of why we're not a little bit higher up in the table. We've actually, our results against the likes of Newport and Harrogate this season, with all due respect, haven't been what they should have, what maybe you'd need them to be to kick on. And it was a bit disappointing that day that we didn't kind of capitalise, because obviously you guys weren't in the best form since then. I could see things have picked up a little bit since with some inconsistency. So yeah, it felt a bit of a missed opportunity on that day.
Yeah, I mean, also, I guess looking at it, it seems to me from afar, just looking through your results, you're obviously built on a very kind of strong defense, but you've drawn a lot of games, and there's a lot to be said for that. If you can't win a game, don't lose it, and like you say, having that consistency of just gradually accruing points across the season actually does you quite well, and that's, I suppose, why you now find yourself in 10th or 11th, 3 points off the playoffs. Um, but I guess from the other side of it, as a fan, you're looking thinking, well, if only we turned a few of those draws into wins, then we could be that little bit higher. I mean, do you think that another draw on Saturday is likely, given what you've already said about the kind of inconsistency against the teams towards the bottom?
It's hard. It's really hard to say. I mean, I think especially our position at the moment. It's 1 week, the season's over, as it were. That we're going to be mid-table, finals, the playoffs are gone. Then we put one or two results together, and it starts again. We haven't won three in a row all season, which I think is a really kind of again clear indication of why maybe we haven't quite kicked on. And on the back, last Saturday we went up to Salford, and it was a disappointing 2-0 defeat. We really didn't turn up for a game that was a real opportunity to kind of really break into that top seven. With other results going as they did as well. For this Saturday, we're really hard to predict at the moment. Entertainment-wise, since the turn of the year, it hasn't quite clicked the same way. We haven't maybe played our most free-flowing football, and a couple of games it's gone a little bit more direct than perhaps it's needed to, especially to suit the personnel in the team. That hasn't always kind of matched up, which has been a little bit frustrating to watch at times. Obviously, Newport in a position where the games are starting to run out, and every point is clearly really vital to you guys. So I think it will depend how you set up on the day. If it's if it's going to be kind of back to the wall and try and hit us on the counter attack or whatever else. Like you suggested, our defence has been the cornerstone of everything this season. I think our goalkeeper has kept the most clean sheets in the Football League, I believe, from the stat I saw recently. And our probably 3-star men are the back three of Collins, Tavares, and Senior, which is great on the one hand, but I think on the other hand, the fact that we're saying our defenders are the main men kind of gives you an idea of where some of the problems have been this season. So I wouldn't rule out a draw, but I think obviously I would make a slight favourites given league position. I think we've got you guys on Saturday and then Crawley the following Tuesday. So I think our mindset has to very much be that looking at the league table, that's 6 points or bust kind of thing. And so we'd be hoping to kind of take advantage of that at home weekend.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of personnel, there's a few names I wanted to ask you about, but the first one probably has to be Anthony Hartigan, formerly of this parish. How has he been getting on for Barnet? Because he kind of divided opinion a little bit with us. He was not great at first, but then really came into his own towards the end of the season when we had him. But then it sounded as though he slightly blotted his own copybook at AFC Wimbledon, ended up at Barnet, and seemingly he's kind of a key part of that midfield.
Yeah, no, I mean he's been fantastic. Obviously, he's been with us now. This is his third season. He was on loan initially from Mansfield. Actually, he joined us from. That was 2 seasons ago. He looked sort of class above in that campaign. Last year, he was the captain in the league winning side, pretty much ever present. Really kind of missed a consistent sort of 7 or even 8 out of 10 every week, I'd say, last season. It's been an interesting one this year because he hasn't always maybe quite suited the way we've wanted to play. And despite still being the captain, there have been times like last Saturday where he starts the game on the bench. Interestingly, I'd say when he came on at the weekend, we looked an awful lot better with him in the team and kind of what he brings, his range of passing and kind of the way he can dictate a game. He doesn't have pace or things like that, but he kind of has the vision and the presence in the midfield for that. So I'm a massive Hartigan fan. I think at times this season he can feel a little bit hard done by to not be always included, and he's been maybe taken out and perhaps others could have been. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if we start with him on Saturday or not. My hunch would be that he does play, given the impact he made at the weekend. It's one of those games where if we dictate a lot of the play and he sees a lot of the ball, I think he'll cause lots of problems for any team.
And then up front, who should we be looking out for? Is it this lad Stutter? Is it who you got from Chelsea on loan, or
no? So he's like the disappearing man. That's an interesting one you made. So he joined in September. He came on for 5 minutes in a game in September, 2 minutes for a game in the FA Cup in November, and we've not seen or heard anything since.
Right.
So, yeah, he's a bit of a mystery. We signed Kabongo Shamanga in January, who's been around, this division and the one below. He was at Chesterfield before, Swindon last year. Came to us from Crawley, who obviously aren't having a great season, and he hadn't sort of torn it up there too much. But I think it's something like 6 and 11 that he's scored since he arrived. For me, I think the best way to describe it, a bit of a sniffer of goals. Like he doesn't have to necessarily be doing very much in the game, but given the opportunity, he will convert chances. I think we're probably lacking a little bit in some of the players we need around him to get the absolute best out of him. It's been interesting. We've done pretty well this season, but I think there have been a few questions asked on recruitment, which, in fairness, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've had Dean Brennan as manager. All hail his choices because he's recruited superbly. But some of the ones we brought in haven't really worked out. We've had 1 or 2 come in and go very quickly. Strange ones like the loan signing of Stutter and 1 or 2 others who featured very little. But no, I think Shamanga, again, there is one eye probably on next season. I think he will be the focal point then. But again, if he gets chances, he'll score goals. But I think at the moment, kind of the way the team's set up isn't always to his favour. He's not the tallest, so kind of the long ball or the balls into the box, depending on the centre half, he's maybe not kind of converting the chances that he otherwise might be.
There we go. And I'm going to push you for a score prediction then, Iain. What's going to happen on Saturday?
I'm going to stay optimistic. And I think we'll score a couple of goals because I think we're due that. We've not found the net too much in the last few weeks. The only odd goal in game. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. I think, obviously it will depend on Newport's set up, but I think if we can get an early goal and capitalise, a big thing we've had this season is not sort of building on something. So going ahead in games, and then the reason for a lot of our draws is we don't kill teams off, or we've got a few games against the bigger teams at the Hive, against like Notts County, Swindon, where we haven't taken chances, then we've been robbed at the end and actually got nothing from it. So yeah, I'm hoping we kind of assert some dominance early on, 2 goals in the first half, and then that'll see us through.
Well, we love to concede an early goal, so you may well get your wish on Saturday. Thank you very much, Ian, for your time. Listeners, do take a look at the Downhill Second Half webpage. It's got a really excellent archive of stats and information. If you are a stats nerd, it is superb, and I'm desperate for someone to take on the task of creating something similar for Newport County. So hopefully someone will take a look and be inspired. But yeah, Ian, thank you very much for your time this evening. Much appreciated.
Cheers, Ed. Thanks very much.